Hi, welcome to today's topic. Today we're looking at working with temperature. So, your goal, I want you to be able to explain the relationship between Celsius and Fahrenheit, and then be able to convert between them. So the first question is, why do we have to convert between Celsius and Fahrenheit? And it's the same answer as what we talked about in the grade 9 course. Why? And then earlier in this course, it's because of our neighbors, the Americans. So the USA still uses Fahrenheit as their temperature units. So because they are a large partner and probably our most common place that we're going to visit, anytime you're looking at a temperature while visiting, you're going to notice it is posted in Fahrenheit. So I'm going to show you the calculation. If you have access to the internet, you'll be able just to use Google to do the conversion. If you don't have internet access when you cross the border, I'm going to talk about the shortcut here. So here are your two formula. So just to give you a bit of a legend, so I'll put this underneath for your note. So your legend, so F is your Fahrenheit, and C is your Celsius. So the first one will convert to Fahrenheit. So your order of operations, first thing you would do is you would do your 9 times the Celsius. Second thing you would do is the division, so you would then divide by 5. And your third step is to do the addition, the plus 32. Okay. So also over here, if you have Celsius, if you want to know Celsius and you have Fahrenheit, first step is you do your brackets. So you do F minus 32. Your second step, if I do that in blue, if you do it in blue, you'd multiply by 5, and then finally your last step is to divide by 9. Now if you just want an approximation, all right, 9 divided by 5. So if we look at the Fahrenheit formula, so this is kind of an aside. As you see it on the news or the sports forecast or whatever, if you just want a quick approximation, if you look over here, use magic pen, we're doing 9 divided by 5. That's pretty much just 2, because it's close to being 10 divided by 5. So what you can do as an approximation, or what I usually do, is I double my Celsius and add 30 or 32. It depends if you remember the exact value. So you just double your Celsius and add 32. It'll give you a pretty close approximation. And going the other direction, not quite as easy, but if I know my Fahrenheit, which is really, this is the one you're going to actually use the most, if you can remember to subtract 30 or 32, and then what you would do is you would just, you'd half it, you divide it by 2. That gives you an approximation. So usually I just subtract 30 from what they give me and divide by 2. These are the actual formulas you're going to use though. All right. So make sure those formulas get up as an anchor chart. And I'll just show you the approximation when I do the calculations on the examples on the next slide. All right. So what we're going to do, about 2 examples here. So convert the following to Celsius. So let's say you are across the border, you read a sign, it says it's 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 82 degrees Fahrenheit. So what is it in terms of Celsius? Well, you know the formula, gave it on the previous page, and multiply by 5, divide by 9. So when you do this, make sure you do your brackets first, then your multiplication, then your division. If you don't follow the order of operations, it really messes things up. So 82, take away the 32, that leaves me with 50. Multiply that by 5 and divide by 9. And it ends up that 82 degrees Fahrenheit is the same as, say, 27.8 degrees Celsius. Okay. If I would use my approximation formula I talked about on the previous page, so when you do the homework you don't have to do the approximation. But remember I said it was F minus 32 over 2. So that's the approximation. I just want to show you how close it is. So you know that 82 minus 32, oops, 82 take away 32 is 50. Divide that by 2, gives you 25 degrees Celsius. So you're off by a couple of degrees, but at least you know in the ballpark whether it's mid-20s, upper 20s, lower 20s. So just keep that in mind. What happens if you're across the border and they tell you that it is 30 degrees Fahrenheit out? So again, the conversion formula, you have it from the previous page. It's just a matter of copying it down, writing it out. So 30 take away 32, multiply that by 5 over 9. So 30 take away 32. You do that first, you get negative 2, multiply it by 5, divided by 9, and it would be negative 1 degree Celsius approximately. And again, just to show you the approximation, so you only have to do the actual calculation here, but again, you're not going to have this formula memorized probably when you do cross the border. If you remember, take away 30 and divide by 2, it gives you a pretty good estimate. So 30 take away 32 over 2, it's negative 2 over negative 2, and this one's pretty much bang on. So, oops. So there we are. So that's the one type of conversion you're going to be doing in the homework today. The other way is going the other direction, and you want to explain what it is in Fahrenheit for someone that's visiting from the US. So your formula for Fahrenheit, 9 times Celsius divided by 5 plus 32. This is what you're going to be going through, and I'm just going to slip that down and give us an example up above it. So what happens if I know that it is negative 10 degrees Celsius out today? Alright, so if it's negative 10 out, what's that in Fahrenheit? We do 9 times negative 10, divide by 5, and add 32. So step 1 is to do your multiplication here. So do the 9 times negative 10. Your second step is then to divide by 5. And then your final step is to add the 32. So we have negative 90, divide that by 5, add the 32, and you'd be telling the person that it's 14 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, and again, just the shortcut that I was mentioning before from that previous slide. So the shortcut basically is double the Celsius and add 32. So if I was to estimate it for this person, I would have doubled my Celsius and added 30 or 32, whichever you can remember. So when I do that, 2 times negative 10 is negative 20, plus 32, so we end up with 12 degrees Celsius. So pretty close when you're just doing an approximation. All right, you're within a couple of degrees. All right, oops, that should have been Fahrenheit, not Celsius, my mistake. So 12 Fahrenheit. Last example, what happens if it's really hot out? What happens if it's one of those days where it's 33 degrees Celsius? Just to give you an idea for the Fahrenheit scale. So, using our formula, let's see what would it translate to. So 9 times 33 over 5 plus 32. So again, do the 9 times 33 first. Then you divide by 5, and you add your 32. And you end up with 91 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is, closer you get to 100 degrees in the Fahrenheit scale, the closer you are to getting really, really warm up here in Canada. So, again, my approximation process, 2C plus 32, just to show you, again, you're going to be close. Is it going to be exact? No, but it's not like the temperature is, you're always exact, depends where you're sitting anyway. That would have given me 98 degrees Fahrenheit doing that method. So yeah, it's off a little bit, and it's going to be off a little bit the larger, the smaller the numbers are anyway. But anyway, it gives you an idea. Person knows it is really warm. So anyhow, those are the examples that will get you through the next section of homework. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will give you a hand working through the examples.